How's it going, everyone? This is High Yield MCAT, and today we're going to talk about the flow of blood through the heart. First things first, you may notice some interesting things about this diagram. One, that I drew the quote-unquote deoxygenated blood in purple rather than blue, which is kind of the norm. One thing I don't like about the term deoxygenated blood is that our quote-unquote deoxygenated blood does have some oxygen in it. So one thing I like to point out is that our partial pressure of O2 in our deoxygenated blood is 40 millimeters of mercury. So that partial pressure is just kind of a measure of how much of a gas is in that liquid of our blood. And then our partial pressure of CO2 is actually going to be 46 millimeters of mercury. So this deoxygenated blood is going to come from both the inferior or below kind of our heart vena cava and our superior vena cava, or coming from above our heart. And they're going to meet in the right atrium. So atriums are going to be on the top, both the right and the left. And notice that this is the right atrium, even though we're shown it on the left. And that is because when we are drawing anything in anatomy or physiology, we are looking at the person in anatomical position. So this will be the right atrium. We're looking at someone else's heart. From here, in the right atrium, we're going to reach our first valve, which is going to be the tricuspid valve. And we can only see kind of two cusps on this valve, but of course we can't draw in 3D, so we're just going to make it simple. So through our tricuspid valve, we reach our right ventricle. And the right ventricle is going to contract and further pump blood through the next valve, which will be our pulmonary valve. And as the name might suggest, the pulmonary valve is going to lead to our lungs, but not before we reach our pulmonary arteries. Now you may be thinking to yourself, hold on, wait a minute. Don't any arteries only contain oxygenated blood? And that's actually not true. Arteries carry blood away from the heart, no matter if it's oxygenated or deoxygenated. So in this case, our pulmonary arteries are pushing away blood from our heart and going to the lungs in order to exchange some gases. Now I've drawn both of the lungs. We have our right lung and our left lung. And you may notice they're not quite symmetrical, and they aren't. In reality, our right lung has kind of 3 lobes, and our left lung has 2 lobes. That might be about medium yield for the MCAT. Now that we've covered that, let's keep in mind what actually happens in the lungs. We're going to be exchanging gases. So we're breathing out CO2 and breathing in O2. And here's the switch from the purple to the red, or deoxygenated to oxygenated blood. So our partial pressure of O2 is now going to be 100 millimeters of mercury, and our partial pressure of CO2 is now going to be about 40 millimeters of mercury. Now this will be plenty to get that O2 to our tissues to run cellular respiration. But we still need it to get to the rest of our tissues, and that is going to be the job of the left side of our heart. So we come back through now our pulmonary veins. So veins are anything that's bringing blood back to the heart, whether or not it's oxygenated or deoxygenated blood. So interestingly, the pulmonary veins have oxygenated blood, and they meet in the left atrium. And the left atrium, they cross the next valve, which is our bicuspid valve. So 2 cusps. And this is also known as the mitral valve. So mitral. People often get these valves mixed up. And one way to remember which comes first, if we consider deoxygenated blood to be coming first, is this mnemonic. So we have a mnemonic that says, try before you buy. So our tricuspid valve comes before our bicuspid valve. Now we've reached our left ventricle. From here, our left ventricle is going to very forcefully contract and push the blood through one of our last valves, the aortic valve. And as the name might suggest, that valve leads to the aorta, which has these 3 openings which are going to lead to the rest of our body, to the systemic vasculature, to be specific. After that blood has done its job, dumping O2 and being quote-unquote polluted with CO2, that blood is going to come back through the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava in order to be pumped through the lungs and out to the body all over again. All right, that's it for High Yield MCAT today. So leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell button for notifications, and let me know in the comments what topic you would like to see next.